Welcome to our session, Our Lives with Water. Today, our guest is Pietro Agnoletto. Pietro, I heard you work a lot with islands, or the recent project has been with islands. So I'm wondering, how did it, become your project or your work?
Thank you very much, Baiva. Yeah, you are exactly right. My recent works with academia are based and focused on islands. I studied filmmaking, or better, I studied film studies and developed an interest in filmmaking during my master degree. Then I started a PhD in which I focused on marine landscapes in a PRIN, is the name, is a national project. And I worked especially with Liguria, coast of Liguria, urbanization, cementification, this kind of phenomena happened during the 20th century through images, through home movies. And then I started to get closer and closer to marine environments and especially small islands. I made two films, one short film on about the Venetian lagoon and how it is risking to disappear, and about a chef that is using food to link the community to the environment. And another film that is in post-production right now about the island of Capraia. And again, here is the focus is the food, and this time the wine production. And it is this film about winemakers in Capraia. It's a very small island of 400 people, and they are making wine as a way to challenge tourism as the only solution to the economy of the island. And so there is this link between the earth, the agriculture, and the sea, and the very small island. And then the last work was on Ponza, another small island in Italy. And here we worked with participatory filmmaking. So we decided to give the camera to students of the only high school of the island. And we decided to let them decide their topic of their work. And so it was the themes of the films, of the documentaries were coming from the students themselves. It was a very slow but beautiful work. I learned a lot from it, and uh, and there were many interesting themes that came out that we didn't even know about it, or we didn't know it was they were so important for the community. And for example, the one that is more interesting probably for you is the practice of the stracquo. That is a practice that in the past was to take the, everything from the sea, for example, wood or other possibility to sustain themselves, but it has been rediscovered by artists to create art pieces from this wood or similar or rocks to create art piece to reflect on sustainability. So we take from the sea, we doesn't throw away, and we reuse it to create art pieces. And the kids decided to make a film about it.
Super exciting. And yeah, you caught my attention when you mentioned the participatory approach. I assume you also involved a lot of local people besides the students. So I wonder how that process was for you and for the whole group to I assume also you didn't know the island before. So
Yes.
how did you became part of the island?
Yeah, as I was saying, it was a very slow process because, of course, the islands, or maybe this island, but we noticed that there were diffidence with the external people, especially university from the core of Italy, like Rome and Milano. And we were lucky to work with an anthropologist. So she arrived 2 months before and started to create a network. And then when we arrived, we worked, yes, with the school, that it was very good because we had at least an institution to work with, but also we worked a lot with our neighbors, let's say. So we really went to the island for the whole winter. I've been there for months. The anthropologist even more, almost 1 year, and there. we started to create this network very slowly, but it was extremely important even when we arrived to the interviews. So if the students were having difficulties to find people to interview, then we could ask or propose people that we knew from this network. And so it was at the end the filmmaking process wasn't something close to the school, but it was the whole community of the small island actively participating or wanting to participate or wanting to help to create these films. Of course, with several differences. For example, there were the people who were opposing it a little bit, the people who didn't care, but many people of the islands were really interested in these films. And I think that the best thing of filmmaking, but in general art compared to research, for example, is that they are giving a lot to the community at the end. Not only in the process, because we could really participate together to the creation of these films, but also after you can really give a product that can be a film photo exhibition or an art exhibition to the community so they can see what you did, what you created together with the community, of course.
Many more questions, but I think I will keep them for later. But if, for example, an artist or a researcher arrives to an unknown place and would like to, you know, get to know the place or work together with the local communities, would there be like, you know, if I would ask you three main things to consider, or maybe even in the way what you would have done a bit differently if you would go now to the island? Because I think your learnings are very strong. So would you like to share some of the learnings like this?
Yeah, I think I think that the first thing is that I discovered that every island is different, of course. So I went to Ponza, the second island, with everything that I learned from the first one, Capraia. And of course, I had to forget everything and start again because really every every community, every island is different. So the most important thing is to be very open and elastic and ready to change also everything in the approach. And yes, maybe if I would change, of course, after so many months, I discovered, for example, with Ponza, many way to approach the community, what is important for the community. For example, I discovered my time, but at the same time, uh, it is impossible to know it before. So the only thing that is important and to learn is that really be ready to revolutionize everything of the project or your expectations, a lot about the expectation, and also so be really elastic, let's say, and and never even when everything looks going to the worst, not never surrender to the desperation, let's say, because at the end we cannot know what is going to happen, and it happened also in this last project in which there was a moment we weren't sure it was going to we could have films, and at the end we had all the films and also beautiful ones because sometimes things can change from one day to another.
Thank you, Pietro. I think I learned a lot and yeah, inspiring also on this notion of flexibility and just allowing not to know. So thank you for sharing that, Pietro. And I would just remind our listeners that today's session, our guest was Pietro Agnoletto. And yeah, see you at the coast.
Thank you very much.